Hey guys, the Western release of Lost Ark is upon us. Now, I thought it would be a good time to talk about some resources that can help you choose which character is right for you. Before I get into the video, I do want to mention that this is not a tier list. This is simply a collection of different sources of information that may help you in making your class choice. With all that said, let's get into it. The first piece of information that I want to talk about is a Reddit post by JKManDev, which basically summarizes the poll results of players on the Korea server, such as which class other players like to play with whenever they're in a party together, interesting classes to play as, and overall sentiment about which classes perform the best. As with everything that I mentioned in this video, a link to this post can be found in the description down below. Just to summarize this post, the first poll is based on which classes other players like playing with as part of their group. Obviously, the two support classes, Bard and Paladin, are at the very top of this list. Other top classes that players enjoy having in their groups include the Gunlancer and War Dancer, since these two classes bring huge utility to the other members of their group. The next category asked Korean players which classes would you most likely play if you had enough time and resources. The top choices for this category were almost purely the top performing DPS classes, including Gunslinger, Sorceress, and Deathblade. The final category is which classes do you think perform the highest overall? The top picks for this category were, again, Gunslinger, Sorceress, and Deathblade. I should say that I only mentioned classes that are going to be part of the Western release of Lost Ark, so I intentionally left out classes like Lancer, Scouter, and Destroyer from these lists. The next item that I want to talk about is another poll. This poll was posted on both the subreddit and the Lost Ark community Discord server, and asked voters to choose one class that they plan on maining for the Western release of Lost Ark. We see some top performing DPS with Sorceress and Deathblade, as well as two support classes, Paladin and Bard, at the top of the poll. Now, I want to say that everyone should play whichever class they enjoy playing the most, but since there are so many great classes that Lost Ark has to offer, I actually plan on trying to play some lower population classes. This is because same class benefits do not typically overlap in group settings in Lost Ark. For this reason, if you choose to play a more highly populated class such as Sorceress, it may be a little more difficult to find a group for endgame content, since according to the poll at least, there will be so many other sorceresses that you will have to compete against for an invitation. Again, I don't want to say that to try to stop people from playing any class that they enjoy by any means. This is a video game. Play it however you want to play it. However, I am saying this for the new player who is not exactly sure which class they want to main, that you may want to consider at least trying a lower population class, as it will most likely be easier for you to find groups for in-game content. Since I mentioned that this poll was originally posted on the Lost Ark community Discord server, I also want to mention that the Discord server itself can be used as an additional source of information on class discussion. As I mentioned in a previous video, you can usually find leveling, chaos dungeon, group, and PvP skill builds in the pinned messages of each of these classes' Discord channels. And some of the builds that you can find in these channels could have been made by the next source of information that I'm about to mention. The Maxroll GG website just recently launched their own Lost Ark section. This website is full of class guides, builds, endgame content, collection activities, leveling guides, and more. The articles have been written by Lost Ark veterans, including such contributors as Saintone, Choylicious, and Tea Party, just to name a few. I just recently used Maxroll GG's Sharpshooter leveling guide while trying out the class on the Russia server. One thing that I really like about this guide is that the skill point allocation guide includes a slider, so that you can easily open this guide at any time and use the slider to show you recommended tripods to take at any given level. Speaking of the Russia server, if all of the aforementioned resources were not enough to help you come to a decision about which classes you want to play for the Western release of Lost Ark, then you could always just test out a few classes on the Russia server before making a commitment. I'll link a guide on how to get the Russia server set up in the description down below. This process can be fairly cumbersome, but if you're willing to jump through a few hoops, you could ultimately save yourself some time by figuring out which classes you want to play before launch. Finally, if all else fails, you can always head to Twitch and ask some of your favorite Lost Ark streamers what classes they plan on playing at launch and why. The Lost Ark Twitch category has been growing for some time now, with more and more streamers coming in every day. It's a very exciting time to be involved with a community, and as you may already know, I also happen to stream Lost Ark content on Twitch every day, so feel free to come to the channel where I'm happy to answer any questions that I can about the game. Well, that's all for now, guys. If you checked out all of these resources and you're still not sure what classes you want to play, don't worry. The great thing about Lost Ark is that there are so many great classes that we can play. Lost Ark is a new game for many people, and I think at the start of the server launch will be a great time to try out a bunch of different classes. Figure out what you want to play, discover your preferred playstyle, and just enjoy the game. But I hope you did find this video useful. If you did, please feel free to like this video or share it with others. And if you'd like to see more Lost Ark content in the future, feel free to subscribe to the channel. As always, I appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next video.